Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Natalia Moczulska and this is the news. We will fight at the International Forum to keep Polish forests in Polish hands, said Climate and Environment Minister Anna Moskwa. In January, the European Commission for the Environment issued a positive opinion on a change to the treaties that would move forestry from national competences to so-called shared competences between the EU and member states. Today, the Polish Sejm dealt with a resolution to defend Polish forests. Today, the Sejm debated a resolution on the defense of Polish forests, which was submitted by Law and Justice deputies. According to the draft, forestry and forest management should remain the exclusive responsibility of individual European Union member states. In turn, the Polish People's Party wants it to be written into the constitution that the authorities of the country, not the Union, are responsible for forest management. Whoever does not support our proposal to write forests into the Constitution and the protection of forests, Poland's ownership of these forests, is in favor of privatizing forests and using forests exclusively for their own use. In January, the European Commission for the Environment gave a positive opinion on the proposal to amend the European treaties. If the changes go into effect, forestry will become a shared competence between member states and the European Union. This is yet another example of one of many when the European Union, having treaties and the restrictions that flow from them, tries to appropriate certain issues with such bypasses. The draft resolution in defense of Polish forests was handled by the Parliamentary Committee for European Union Affairs. The Sejm of the Republic of Poland expresses its strong opposition to any action by both the European Commission and the European Parliament, leading to the withdrawal of Poland's exclusive right to decide on forests. This is something that stems from the treaties, the Common Agricultural Policy, but there are no provisions for a common forestry policy. This is an attempt to bring under the jurisdiction of a large territory of our country. Poland's forest area is more than 9.2 million hectares, which means the forests cover almost one-third of our country's territory. The European Union cares about European forests. Polish forests are European forests. What the European Union would like to do is to join in the process of biodiversity. Solidarna Polska Party, along with Mr. Ziobro and others, are lying that the entrance to forests will be prohibited, that the EU will take away our control of the forests, that we will not be able to pick mushrooms, forest blueberries, etc. No. In this context, it is a real threat that part of our country's area, 30%, would be under the management of other countries. Thus, locally, we could even lose access to these forests. According to the Central Statistical Office, forest cover in Poland has almost doubled since 1946. As much as there was fake news and insults, what was missing was data, figures, and numbers. We have been debating here for 2 hours. In those 2 hours, Polish foresters planted more than 100,000 new trees. A few weeks ago, the Council of Ministers adopted a similar resolution indicating that forestry and forest management should remain the exclusive responsibility of individual European Union member states. Day 415 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Russia is once again questioning the possibility of extending the so-called grain agreement, which guarantees the export of Ukrainian food through trade routes on the Black Sea. Meanwhile, the European Council decided yesterday to allocate 1 billion euros to cover the production costs of ammunition so far transferred to Ukraine from the warehouses of European Union countries. Once again, Russia is threatening to tear up the grain deal. This is the Kremlin's reaction to the European Commission's decision to extend duty-free grain exports from Ukraine.
Instrumental for making the whole of Europe peaceful and future-oriented. Sadly, Black Sea is also a showcase of how rapidly things can deteriorate if one neglects threats.
Russia's war with Ukraine has shaken up the grain market. The two countries together export more than 25% of the world's grain. Hostilities and economic sanctions have led to disruptions in supply chains and drastic price increases. For both countries, seaborne trade is crucial for transaction throughput. When Russia illegally annexed Crimea in 2014, it blockaded the Sea of Azov. Kiev fears that such a scenario could happen again.
Guarantees that would make aggressor from Russia impossible. It presents Iran no alternative to the NATO format. 3 countries of the region are already NATO members. There is no alternative to Ukraine's accession to NATO. The allies' security infrastructure needs to be scaled up to the east. Ukraine has already proven its interoperability. Ukraine has already made its move by formally applying to join NATO. No progress towards this goal just extends the period of uncertainty and risks.
Russian forces have been ruining industry, the healthcare system, and many other areas of life in Ukraine for more than a year. Hospitals are being bombed and many cities lack basic medicine. Ukrainian medics are being supported by a volunteer team from Poland. Simply put, we are simply saving lives. When the war started, there was a great need in each of us to help. We have been participating in evacuations of the wounded for more than a year. Ukraine's military effort to oust the Russian army depends on arms supplies from the West. The aggressor's troops are continuing attacks near Bakhmut, along the Avdiivka-Donetsk line and in Marinka. Our task is to eliminate enemy infantry. We know that in this area the concentration of Russian troops is special. To achieve the set targets, we use the well-known method of regulation of fire. The first shell is fired as a test and allows us to correct the coordinates. Most often, firing the third proves successful. Russian soldiers have limited daytime operations and hardly leave their bunkers. It is at night that supplies arrive at Russian warehouses and troops receive orders. We are about 1.5 kilometers from the enemy position. With limited visibility, it is a challenge, but thanks to night vision systems, we are successful. Meanwhile, Kiev's political partners are successfully fulfilling their commitments on arms supplies. Yesterday, the European Council decided to allocate 1 billion euros to finance munitions supplies to Ukraine. Poland will soon hand over another 6 MiG-29 fighter jets. More than 100 documents related to U.S. national security and the war in Ukraine have been illegally declassified in the past week. Yesterday, the FBI arrested Jack Teixeira, a U.S. Air Force soldier, and the leader of the news channel from which the documents are believed to have leaked. According to experts, the leak of classified Pentagon documents may or may not slow down Kiev's announced counteroffensive. According to declassified documents, Beijing was said to have authorized the supply of arms to Russia. The U.S. administration has not confirmed this information, although China is gradually moving closer to Russia in the political aspect. President Xi recently visited Moscow and Minsk, and the day after tomorrow, China's defense minister will meet with his Russian counterpart in Moscow. Wes Anderson, Ken Loach, Todd Haynes, and Wim Wenders are among the directors who will compete for the top prize at next month's Cannes Film Festival, where a spate of Hollywood stars will also premiere their latest works on the famed Crozet waterfront. It is always a highly anticipated moment, and I have to say that for me it is a very emotional moment to open today's presentation.
C'est une compétition qui va mêler
At a press conference on Thursday, festival director Thierry Fremont announced a lineup for the 76th edition of the Major Cinema Showcase from May 16th till May 27th. 19 films will compete for the festival's coveted Palme d'Or Prize, of which 6 are directed by women.
Pas de date de péremption pour les cinéastes ni pour les œuvres.
It's a competition that will mix young filmmakers competing for the first time with veterans whose names and works we know. It is obviously a way for us to reiterate that in terms of art, there is no expiration date for filmmakers nor for works. Loach returns to the festival with The Old Oak, about Syrian refugees arriving in a former mining village in Britain, while Anderson brings his star-studded Asteroid City, in which major events disrupt a junior stargazer convention. Other directors in competition include American filmmaker Haynes with May December, starring Oscar winners Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore, Italian Nanni Moretti with Il Sol dell'Avvenire, German filmmaker Wim Wenders with Perfect Days, and Japan's Hirokazu Koreda with Monster. Women directors in competition include France's Catherine Breillat with Les Derniers, Austrian Jessica Hausner with Club Zero, and Tunisian Kauthar Benhania with Les Filles Olfa. Organizers have already announced the festival's opener, biographical drama Jeanne du Barry, featuring Johnny Depp, the Hollywood star's first live-action film since his defamation trial against ex-wife Amber Heard last year. Also out of competition is veteran Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, about the murders of Osage Native Americans. Set in 1920s Oklahoma, the movie features past Scorsese's collaborators Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, and Jesse Plemons. Adventurer Indiana Jones will also return to the festival 15 years since his last appearance in Cannes. Harrison Ford reprises the title role in Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which will have its world premiere in France. Fremont said there would also be a special tribute to Ford's career at the festival. Swedish director Ruben Östlund, whose film Triangle of Sadness won last year's Palme d'Or, will preside over the jury at this year's competition. A rocket carrying the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer probe has taken off from a spaceport in French Guiana as part of a European Space Agency mission. This is an important event, especially for the Polish space industry, since as many as 3 of the probe's 10 instruments were developed by Polish specialists. This is the first ever space probe to be launched into the orbit of an alien moon. The probe has been equipped with elements that are the work of Polish engineers. First of all, the Space Research Center of the Polish Academy of Sciences has its share in this mission, which took care of the scientific facilities and designed the prototypes and flight models of the instruments. Astronica, responsible for the design of qualification and flight models, also had its share. It is also known for producing components for NASA's InSight lander, which has been studying seismic shaking on Mars since 2018. Although scientists from a total of 16 European countries, as well as the US, Japan, and Israel, participated in the design of the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer mission, the participation of Polish scientists and engineers was crucial to the entire mission. The goal of the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer probe is primarily to study Jupiter's moons, mainly Europa, Callisto, and especially Ganymede, which in the future may serve as an interchange base for missions exploring the farthest reaches of space. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Please stay tuned for Poland Daily Weather, Poland Daily Business, and some of our other programs. But for me, it's have a wonderful weekend.